to our annual meeting. Are we good, Braden? Okay. Welcome to our annual meeting. We use this obviously as a chance to reach out to you, our members, and let you know what we've been busy with this year. We are broadcasting this year live on Facebook, and so this will also be for rebroadcast. So I hope our members who aren't able to be here in the room with us tonight are able to watch and learn a little bit about what we've been doing. So we also use this as our annual meeting for election of our board members, and so we're going to do that right at the end. We'll break out the Robert's Rules of Order and really go to it. So 2018 in review. This has been, I think, a tremendous year. And you don't really realize it until you start putting this presentation together and you start looking back at all the pictures of all the things that we managed to achieve. And so I'm going to walk through those with you. I'm going to give you a little bit of stats on where we are as an organization in membership. We're going to talk about some of the different programs, some of the ways that we get information out to our members. And then at the end, we're going to follow up with some needs that we have, urgent needs or needs that we have right now, but also looking forward to 2019, what is on the slate for that year. So our mission is to collect, preserve, exhibit, study, and interpret objects related to the history of Champaign County and to provide educational programming about the county's heritage and our collections. And of course, we do that through a lot of different facets, and we're going to get into those now. So first of all, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have a tremendous board that serves as the guiding captains to our ship. And so for all of our board members, raise your hands that are in the room, and let's give everybody a round of applause. Whoa, sorry about that. This is a tremendous group, and we just continue to get wonderful individuals to serve on our board, and that has really just made all the difference. I think it's really coalesced as a unit. I think we all enjoy each other's company. We like to spend time socially together, and it really has been our museum family. And so to each of our board members, I do want to say thank you so much for your service. Our Associate Director, Braden Belcher, sitting here in the front row, helping man the camera today. We were able to hire Braden just before the meeting last year, and so I guess has it been
just over a year?
Just over a year. And it has been a tremendous asset to get an employee back in our building. It was absolutely critical. Our members came through and helped support us financially, so we were able to bring Braden on. One of the things that we tasked Braden with is helping us bring volunteers into the organization as well, and he's been able to do that by reinstating an intern program. And so we've also had a tremendous group of interns that have helped him take the pressure off of just being in the building by himself, helping to get to some of those tasks that we know we need to get to but haven't found the time to do. And we've also started new partnerships. We started a partnership here with the Champaign County Archives. They've been sending one of their staff people to the museum to help us inventory our library collection, our vertical files, so that our system and the archive system match and are easily accessible then by scholars or others that want to do research. In terms of membership, we've been doing very well this year. And I'll be honest with you, I hadn't been looking at these numbers until when I was putting this presentation together, and I realized we are seeing growth across all of our categories, which is really outstanding. We gained in every category except for the Cattle Bank Society, which is our $1,000 and up level. But the growth on the other side of the chart has really been fantastic, and so we want to continue that trend. 260 people, 260 memberships. Now keep in mind some of those are family and they have spouses and others. So that number of core people is larger than 260. But there are 206,000 people in Champaign County. And so we need to continue to reach out to them and continue to grow those numbers. I know we can do better in 2019. One of the more exciting announcements is that we are now open 5 days a week, which was a really just tremendous thing to be able to say, that we are open 5 days a week. We are open in the afternoons on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and all day Saturday. And so I think just having that visibility, we've added new signage to the sidewalk for people to drive by, see that those doors are open. I think that really helps to elevate us within the community. And our numbers. We had a little over 1,000 visitors in our first year, and we are on pace to break that. If you take the average that we're seeing every month and take that out for the rest of the year, we end up at 1,421. And so that also has been good growth. So we reach out to our members through multiple ways. Our website, which I like to think has a lot of content in it. I think it functions well. We get lots of good feedback on the website. And so that is one of our primary ways. But of course, we have our social media channels, which continue to grow in membership or in likes as well, which just helps us to get our message out to a broader audience. There is a lot of conversation that happens, especially on Facebook, within certain groups. There's the Champaign-Urbana history page. There's the You Grew Up in Champaign-Urbana When page. There's a number of these pages that a number of us are active in contributing to, and many times their moderators are very good about routing people back to us. And so that has become a really fascinating way to collect data and curate data. You can actually search those pages, and they've actually started to become quite good for research. We have our newsletter, our e-newsletter that goes out. I hope you're all getting that. We like to mix in stories that either our contributors, our board members, our volunteers have written with information about what's going on in the museum. And we try to keep everyone in tune. Every month it seems like there's absolutely, they're packed full of good information, so I hope you do get them. I hope you're able to read them. And we love writing the little stories. And if you have a story that you would like to share, we would love to have additional contributors. The stories don't have to be particularly long. They actually live on our website in the form of a blog post. So if there's an interest of yours in a certain aspect of local history that you want to write about, we would be happy to publish those in our newsletter to our membership. And that goes out to broader than just our membership. It goes out to anyone who signs up for it on our website. We have our speaker series, which we have a couple of the past presenters in the room with us today. But these have really turned out to be just great little sources of information. They're an hour long, the second Thursday of the month. We've now had a whole year under our belt, and you see the topics that we've covered in that year. So when you look at it as a whole, it's like, wow, that's some really great information. And all of those now live in video form on our website. You can go and review any of those broadcasts, and there's just really some fascinating topics that we've covered over the past year. We are considering, and I think we haven't yet formally said yes yet, but we're thinking of moving these to Saturdays as a way to get more visitors to not only come in for the talk, but to also explore the museum. And it becomes a little awkward on Thursday nights when this talk is over. We don't get many people that actually then look through the museum. So we're hoping to help drive people on Saturdays by making that change. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you think that's a good idea or a bad idea, we'd take that into consideration. Our book club. Our book club has been growing. If you have a love of local history, they meet the fourth Thursday of the month from 8 to 9, and they found a new home. I think it's their permanent home now in the back of Aroma Cafe. If you love to read about history, every month there's a new book. The group gets together and talks about it, and the group has been growing. I think they're 8 members or so. So it's a fairly small and intimate group, but great conversation has been happening in our book club. So we also do a lot of events and programming, especially for an organization of 1 part-time employee and a group of dedicated volunteers. And so one of those, I hope you were able, if you are a member, I hope you were able to come to it, but we have our History on the Town event. This is our thank you to our members. We choose the historic building somewhere in Champaign County. We provide the snacks and the drinks, and we invite you to come out and explore. Last February, we welcomed all of our members to the Virginia Theater. We had the entire run of the entire building. You could go anywhere. And it was a really great night and a great attendance by our members. So look for that coming in February of 2019. These are kind of nice because in the wintertime, and it kind of gives you a chance to come out and do something in the dead of winter. We go out on the road. We take our beautiful popcorn wagon out on the road. We were at the Freedom Celebration. Thanks to everybody that bared the heat and came out. We printed up some awesome new shirts for us. They were all different. They had different sayings. I love history, cattle banking, history rocks, those kinds of things. And so if anyone would like one of those t-shirts, we actually have the opportunity to order individual shirts. So if you have an interest, let us know and we'll get you one of those. We celebrated the state's bicentennial by having the area's official birthday party. This was a wonderful little partnership with the Champaign County, I should say Visit Champaign County, which is our Convention and Visitors Bureau. The state arranged for 7 locations around the state to celebrate on Constitution Day. And so they sent us the Eli's cheesecake and had some rules for us. But we were the chosen location in East Central Illinois, and so Sunday, I don't remember the date now.
The 26th.
The 26th of August, we welcomed
100.
Yeah, about a little over 100 people into our doors to have some cheesecake, and also a really great time. Our board member, our vice president, Perry Morris, helped to organize our first pop-up museum. And this was at the Cohen Building in downtown Urbana. Let's see, the Archives and Museum of Grand Prairie, and who else was
there? The Urbana Museum of Photography.
The Urbana Museum of Photography all got together and they turned the Cohen Building into a museum. And so we brought some of our items specifically related to Urbana, and Perry did a wonderful job of curating that and putting that together, and the other partners did so as well. And that was a really terrific way to just create something out of nothing, right? And so we'd love to look for more of those opportunities, whether that's at a community library in some of our surrounding communities or somewhere here within the Twin Cities. This is a great way to engage people who don't normally come to our museum. Of course, we'd love them to be in our doors, but this is also another alternative. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, we hosted our first Educators Night. So we invited 470 teachers from Champaign County to come into the museum and to talk to us. Just tell us, as educators in the county, what do you need from our museum? How can we help you to tell the story in the classroom? And the group had wonderful conversation, wonderful dialogue with our teachers. Our education committee put on a session to talk specifically about high school and then also middle school, about how we feel like we might be able to help engage. Everyone walked away with a free history book from our bookstore, and the group had a really great night. I'm looking forward to seeing how these partnerships continue to grow because we need to be back in the schools. We need to help these teachers put their curriculum together. And there's other curriculum opportunities for us as well, whether it's senior centers or other organizations here in town. Helping them to tell the story on our behalf is one way that we can help spread that message.
TJ?
Yes, sir.
I just remembered that we had another collaborator at the pop-up museum.
Oh, who I missed?
The U of I Archives.
That's right.
Some of their collection to share.
So at the pop-up, for those at home, just so we don't forget, the U of I Archives was also a participant and brought items into our pop-up museum. So thank you not only to them, but to all of our partners that day. The Taste of Champaign-Urbana is one of our events. If you didn't know, this museum actually started the Taste of CU. We were the founding member. It was a big fundraiser for the museum back when it started. Ultimately, it became too big for the organization to handle and was passed off to the Park District. But this still represents one of our biggest opportunities to reach out to a whole new audience. And so this year, we increased our visibility for our kids' activities, which went over really well, much better than years past. We did a robust business with our popcorn wagon, and it is just a great way to have conversations. We did our walking tours as well, which we had really good. I don't think there was any walking tour that had less than 20 people on it. And this year we did our downtown walking tour, which has become kind of a staple because we're right next to the park, or right next to downtown. But we also unveiled a new tour this year called Vice and Crime in the Prohibition Era. And so we are looking forward for ways to bring that tour back aside from just being at the taste. Our education committee also helped us to create a mascot. We wanted to create something that when kids come into the museum, we can specifically label items for them, helping us to create opportunities for kids to go through and look for that icon and trying to interpret maybe a little more in their language what this exhibit means. And so we have Wilbur the cow. In honor of our former home, our initial home at the Wilbur Mansion, we now have Wilbur the cow here. So she'll be helping to mark different exhibit points throughout the museum, and we'll try to find ways to include her in our kids' outreach. We allowed the membership, by the way, to suggest names, and we got a tremendous response. We really did. We were using that at Taste, we did it online, and we really had a lot of responses to choose from. We created new kids activity books. These are for when a kid walks into the museum. We can give that to them now, and it gives them something to do and something to look for as they go through the museum. Again, trying to engage the youth. If we can get the youth, then we can get their parents in the door. And if there are so many times since I've been in this role that I hear from former individuals that were engaged in the museum back when it was on University Avenue, the Piety Hill gang or the Piety Hill girls, and I took etiquette classes at the Wilbur Mansion, or I remember as a kid going through that. Those are now the parents of these kids. One of our biggest, somebody might check that door for me. One of our biggest contributors, Deb Finan, the mayor of Champaign, talks all the time and fondly about being a Piety Hill girl and volunteering her time at the museum. So thinking about shaping these children's impressions of the county so that when they become mayors down the road, they remember that they learned some of that here at our museum. So I do want to just, for those of you who maybe haven't been in the museum, I want to kind of just walk you through what it looks like today, just some of our rooms. Last year I gave you a lot of before and afters because we were just opening. I wanted to give you that sense. In this case, I just wanted to show you what things look like. And it's important, if you haven't visited, to see these exhibits, that you do so soon, because we are actively working, I'll talk about in a moment, to rotate those exhibits. And so this is the time to come. But when you walk in, of course, you walk into our brand new lobby. Here we have our community quilt on the wall, where we're able to tell little snippets of stories that have together kind of shaped the history of Champaign County. And the monitor in the middle gives us the ability to update it to events that are happening today. And in fact, we do that. If there's a big event that happens in Champaign County, we can create a slide and throw it up, and so it too becomes part of this community story. We also have rotating collections down in the case. We try to rotate that regularly. Typically, those are new items that have come into the museum collection. And we like to put those out right after we get them so people get a sense for the things that we are receiving every day. And there have been some really tremendous recent donations to the museum that we'll be focusing on here soon. A second home, which is our look at the University of Illinois student over 150 years. Obviously, the sesquicentennial celebration is coming to a close at the U of I, and so too will our exhibit on the U of I sesquicentennial. So this exhibit, we've recreated dorm rooms in 50-year increments from the initial class all the way through the 2017 class, and so you're able to compare and contrast how those exhibit rooms have changed over the years. Just one more look there. Champaign County History Uncrated. Again, this exhibit is soon to come down. This will be replaced by one of our new exhibits. But this is a great way to get a sense for what we do at the museum, the types of objects we collect, how do we actually collect them, why does a museum collect them, and how do we keep track of all of them. All of those things are answered in this room, along with assortments where we've just kind of displayed a sampling of the things in the look of our storage facility. Just a couple of other close-ups here. And then when we went to war, this exhibit's going to stick around for a little longer. We're not planning to change it over just yet, but this is our look at how the community responded during World War II. It takes a look at the home front, takes a look at a number of stories, of specific stories of individuals from here in the community, and then we wrap it up with kind of what was the contribution of Champaign County. So our new exhibit, which is coming this winter, it's actually going to be a 2-room exhibit. So the second home exhibit and Uncrated are going to both transition to tell a rather large story of William McKinley and his electric rail system, and how the creation of that entity here in this community helped to not only tie together both Champaign-Urbana, but ultimately with the advent of the traction system, how that crisscrossed the state of Illinois and linked rural communities with metropolitan areas, how it linked people, how it linked a state together. And so that's a pretty big story, focused around kind of one central figure with William McKinley. Of course, he did more than just the traction. We'll touch on that. So this is a big story. We are putting this together now. We are still looking for wonderful stories, passed down stories. Some people have gotten in touch with us to talk about one of the recent additions was a woman in Homer shared some letters, diary entries that her grandmother had kept about the traction system and what it meant for them in the depths of the Depression. And so those kinds of stories are critical because we want to tell stories. We don't just want to tell the fact that we had streetcars. We want to tell the stories, and we want to talk about the connectivity and the social impacts of having those systems. So if you have anything, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. So now I want to talk real quickly about one of the biggest things that happened this year. Last year, we told you that our biggest need was a new storage, a new home for our collection. And I'm excited to tell you that over the past year, we have found that location, and we have nearly executed that move, and I'll explain why nearly in a minute. But just to give you a sense, and I showed you some of these pictures last year, but this is about 3 years ago. This was the condition of our storage. I don't like to share these pictures because it's not great, and we've known since the reconstitution of the organization that that needed to be one of our top priorities. And so we found a space, we found shelving, we started loading things up, we started assembling that shelving. Through tremendous work, these were some really long and arduous work days to get this done, but I just wanted to share with you kind of the transformation of our collection space. It's no longer close to the museum, it's on the other side of town, but it was a space that met our needs, the climate control, the security aspect, the ability to load in and out easily has really come through. And so this was the pre-move. This was right after we finished installing all the shelving, ready for that move. And then the real work began. And it was a lot of work that day. It was all pretty much one day. And it started off by pouring rain, which was not ideal, but we worked through it. We had teams in both locations, our old space and our new space. Some were packing up and moving, and we had Phil Facella. Thank you, Phil, for using your box truck to move things. I think it ended up taking 2 full box trucks and then lots of cars to get everything there. But you can just see, I mean, this was a full team effort, and it took all day. Finally, the rain stopped, the humidity ramped up, as you can imagine. But just a tremendous team effort, and I don't know how we were all smiling at the end of it, but we were smiling because we were seeing the results as it was happening, and that was just tremendous. And so here you start to see as things start to take a new look, and just to see these uniform boxes. And we had the ability then to buy a lot of the new storage boxes, and so we were able to get all of those old banker boxes out, get everything into acid-free boxes. Everything just stacked so beautifully in its new home. The rolling shelves that were donated to us by Clifton Larson Allen were tremendous. We are able to now, all of these shelves are adjustable. We were able to put down the buffer between that and the shelf. And now we can see, a lot of what we have, a lot of these loose items, we can actually go through and find and roll open a shelf if we're looking for that one item, and we just, we're able to move that into an exhibit. And so here you see our photo section, all of these photos that have been consolidated now with proper buffering between them. And so it has really been tremendous. So that's what it looked like after. Now, it still has some work to do. That corner has to be cleaned out. And we still have a lot of the large furniture and our very large clothing collection still in our old facility. And so we have had our volunteers with the expertise in clothing going through, looking at condition, sorting by condition, sorting by relevancy, trying to nail down records to those pieces to determine what will go with us and what will not. We will be able to take about 30 to 40% of that clothing collection, but a lot of that is condition issues already. The large furniture, there are some pieces that they were more props than they were historical artifacts, so we're figuring that out. But when this is done, this will be a pretty full space. We laid it all out in SketchUp in a 3D model. We calculated how many boxes could fit on every shelf. We knew we were going to be close. We are close in terms of maximizing our space for big things, but we still have some room to grow in this facility. But it is night and day difference, and it was such a huge priority to check off our list. So thank you to everybody who came out to make that happen. That was monumental effort and a real step forward for the organization. So in 2019, we have some additional needs. I want to talk about those now. The biggest pressing need we have right now is the cattle bank itself. For 2.5 years now, we've transformed the inside of the building. We've reconstructed new exhibits. We have put into place a new organizational structure. We've grown our membership. We've built our volunteer network. We've moved our collection to a new storage facility. But what we haven't been able to tackle is our home itself, the cattle bank. And so our attention has to turn back to it. We have problems with our roof, which it's been a while since this roof has been addressed. We had a lot of rain this past summer that has caused a number of issues. Water's not draining, and we've created problems now inside the building. This is inside of our research room, our library. Although we've segmented things away from that space, we had a real problem when we ended up getting 6 inches of rain. And so we had to mitigate that. We've intentionally opened that space up. It didn't all just collapse, but we did open that space up so we could get a better sense of what was going on. But we're going to need to replace the roof, and we're going to need to repair some of the damage that's been done. So we are preparing to embark on a capital campaign. We're going to be asking our members to help us. We are 100% volunteer, membership driven. We don't have a tie-in with tax dollars. We don't have municipal support or county support. We have to do this ourselves. So we're going to be reaching out to our members and asking them for help. They've come through before, and I know they're going to come through this time. But this building is the oldest building in Champaign County, and I know that there are people out there, certainly, that want to see it saved. And it all starts with our roof. Now, there are other needs as well. The cornice around the building, there's windows that need to be addressed. This is the time we're going to look at that kind of holistically, knowing that the roof is our top priority, but also not losing sight that there are other building improvements that will help to preserve this building for future generations. So, I know we've asked a lot already, but we're going to ask a little more. And unfortunately, we're going to keep asking because we are supported by you, our members, and we certainly appreciate that and everything you're able to do for us. Some other plans. In 2019, we got to finish our move. I just touched on that, so that's a big part of that. Getting out of the old space will actually free up money because we pay now in both spaces, so it's important for us to finally get out of that space. We're going to continue to build our membership. We need your help with that. We need you to tell a friend, hey, do you know about this museum? It's now open 5 days a week. You could stop in and see it, and for as little as $35, you can become a member. We'll be completing our first exhibit changeover. So this is also a little daunting for us. We're going to be changing over exhibit while we're open. Before, we were able to build those exhibits while we were closed. We are looking at closing in the month of January, which is not uncommon for museums to do, but we really feel it's probably necessary for us to do that so that we can keep the public out of the space while we make that kind of big transformation. We're going to continue to digitize more of our library, our documents, through partnerships, through our interns. They've been wonderful about adding things, scanning images. We have a brand new scanner. That was one of our needs we asked for last year, was a scanner. So we could start to digitize those things. We've got that scanner now, and we continue to digitize. We just did a fascinating collection of unnamed individuals. Maybe you saw this come through your social media stream, but we have a huge collection of photographs that are just unidentified. And so our interns went in, scanned a whole bunch of those. We put them out to the public saying, if you recognize someone, let us know. But it's a really interesting way to kind of look at that collection. And we're going to look to continue to raise the community's profile, whether that's our education efforts, our outreach efforts. They're all critically important. We've got to overcome the idea that we're just the cattle bank on the corner. We have to be seen as a true community asset that really tells the story of Champaign County, and we're doing that. And now we just have to convey that message to our members and to the general community so that they can help us sell that story as well. So how can you help? You can become a member. If you're here, chances are you are a member. If you're not, we'd certainly love to have you. We have, as I said, if you're a student or individual, student at $10, but it's a little at $35 for a museum membership. And so we would love to have you to join our team to help us accomplish these goals. I highlight Centennial Club. We always try to push people to Centennial Club. We get a lot of people that just jump in at that level, and we are grateful for that generosity. We are also seeking sponsorships for our exhibits. We've asked for this in the past, and we had sponsors for our existing exhibits, but those sponsorships help defray the cost of actually printing and producing the exhibit. Your logo, your company logo, would then go on all of the material that's created for that. And I will say we are working on an exciting possibility that involves an MTD bus, but I'm not going to go too in-depth in it. But that would be a great opportunity as well. Our sponsors would be a part of that project, and so if you reach out to us with an interest in sponsorship, we'll fill you in on the details of that. I want it to be a surprise for everybody. And I'm sorry, I left that on there from last year, the scanning photography station. Check it off the list, because we got that. So we're very grateful for that. You can be a volunteer. We would love to have you at the museum. Braden is there every day we're open. He would love to have you partner with him. If you have a project that you want to work on and do research while you're there, that's a great opportunity if there's no one in the building to work on a project yourself, or just have a conversation with Braden. He's a wonderful conversationalist. So come and join him. But our docents are absolutely critically important. And there are times when we need them to step in when Braden can't be at the museum, and so we hope to have you there for that as well. We will take your volunteer in any capacity. We could use Delora, our longtime treasurer, is going to be spending some time out of Illinois starting next year in the winter months, and so we'll need some help from a financial standpoint, from tracking our finances. Tom Yaxley with YG Financial is also helping us with that, but it would be we need someone to help us intake memberships and send letters and cut checks. So if you have a strength in that, we would, particularly this year, we would love to have you on our team. And skilled labor, that's helping build exhibits. We found that doing our first two, there is a lot of that, just building things that help us put the exhibits together. So if you have an interest in that, we'd love to. And Zane Ziegler in the back has been one of our best carpenters. He does some tremendous work, and so we thank him for everything he's done. And serve on one of our committees. We have several committees, three of which I would say are very active. Education, which has a very active role, and you've seen some of the work they've been doing. Our exhibit committee is primarily where we do the work of putting these exhibits together. Our collection committee was critical in helping to make the move happen, but that committee needs to ramp up because now that we've moved, we actually need to re-index and reorganize the collection itself, and so that's a huge task. But people that have expertise in collection management would be wonderful to add to that committee. Facilities, obviously we're going to have some facility work this year, so it'd be nice to have people that can help with that. And with that, that's kind of, Suzanne, did you?
New committee, tomorrow night.
That's true. If you would like to help us with our capital campaign, I suppose it'd be a finance committee meeting, or an ad hoc meeting to talk about our capital campaign. We are going to meet tomorrow at 5:30 at the museum to begin the conversations around our capital campaign. And so if you have experience working in the development field, if you want to lend a hand with helping us raise that money, this is a great chance to get on the ground floor to start having a conversation with us as a team. We're going to strategize and create our next task list tomorrow at 5:30. It'll be in the community room at the museum. Are there any questions from anyone about the programs that you've seen? Yes, Bill.
I'd just like to make a comment on, I'm really thoroughly amazed on the progress and what you've been able to accomplish. And I want everybody to know that Western Star Masonic Lodge honored TJ earlier this year with the Community Builders Award for his hard work.
And I appreciate that. And I made sure to mention our board at that because it is truly a joint effort. I mean, from top to bottom, it has been a labor of love for a lot of us, and it just wouldn't have happened if the community and the volunteers didn't step up and do that. And so I am grateful for them because they're the ones helping to put all of this programming together, which I think has been, like I said, when I started putting this together, you don't realize it, you just kind of live it day to day until you start to look back on it, and you realize there's some great work happening there, and so we want to continue that. Any other questions? If not, we are needing to move into our business portion of the meeting where we elect board members. This year we have a few members rolling off. Brian Wang, Weiss Lancaster. I think that's, am I missing anyone? That's it, right? Yeah, that's it. So they're rolling off, and we certainly thank them for their involvement. But this is the slate that we've put together to offer up to the membership. Now, if you would like to nominate someone from the floor, that also is allowed per the bylaws. We can accept a motion to accept the slate and vote on it in its entirety. We can do that in a few moments. But we do want the opportunity. We do have space. Our bylaws, we have 14 members on the board right now. Our bylaws allow us to go up to 15, I think, I'm looking at Braden, I was part of the people that wrote the bylaws. So if someone in the room would like to be on the board that's not in the slate, we do have room, per our bylaws, for you to join us, and so we would love to have that. But I do ask that only members of the museum will be asked to vote for this slate. And so as the membership, you're also able to make the motion to accept the slate. Would anyone care? First of all, is anyone wishing to make a nomination from the floor?
Well, should we
Yes.
have people introduce themselves if they,
Yeah, we certainly can. I was going to do that during
oh,
well, we can do that right now. We have two potential new members, Monica Scott and Kristen Allen, and I thought maybe if you'd like to just introduce yourself and maybe say very briefly your interest, we would certainly, I think the members would love to hear that.
Hi, my name is Monica Scott. I am a museum educator over at the Spurlock Museum. I have a background in history, and I'm very much interested and enthusiastic about engaging in history, engaging with the community, and helping to forward the mission of this museum.
Thank you very much.
I'm Chris Allen. I work in the University Archives in the Illinois History Museum, which is a digital museum. I've been here through school, and I've volunteered at 3 museums around Champaign County, so I've gotten to learn a lot about Champaign County, and I've just really enjoyed it and really come to see this place as my home as well. And I, like Monica, want to just keep promoting the history, and I also really miss being in a physical museum building into the digital environment. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to keep working at the Champaign County History Museum and furthering my mission.
Thank you, and both of them have come very highly recommended to us through multiple sources, and so we were thrilled that they agreed to join us on the board. And so with that, is there a motion to accept the slate? Megan makes a motion. Is there a second? Same seconds. Is there any discussion about the slate? Seeing none, so members only. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign, and the ayes have it. So, welcome aboard to our 2 new board members. I just want to say thank you again to all of our members, whether they're in this room or watching us online. It's because of you that the progress you just saw is possible. And so we hope that, again, you'll continue to support this museum, to share our mission and who we are with your friends and family. Encourage them to become members, because through those additional memberships is how we continue to make this happen. So with that, we still have some refreshments in the back, but we'll adjourn for our annual meeting. Thank you so much.